Well, hello and welcome to Reignite Your Romance. We are Marla and Jamie, and we are so excited that we get to be here with you tonight and that you are here. You made it. Welcome, welcome. Good
Congratulations.
job. Congratulations making it. It's sometimes tough to get to these places. And so we want to give you just an incredibly warm welcome. Over the next hour or so, there might be some info that is surprising and that is probably kind of unique to what you've heard before about why you chose each other to begin with, and how there are certain thinking styles and things like that in relationships that my thinking and Jamie's thinking sometimes clash with each other. And
If I'm actually thinking, there's sometimes it comes and goes,
and how that really affects communication. And so that's why communication can sometimes feel super frustrating and overwhelming and all the things that we hear about communication. And so it's going to be informative and it's going to be fun and interactive. So we want to connect and hear from you. So there will be questions throughout that will offer time for us to get to know you as well. And so let's start with this. How did you and your partner, your spouse, how did you guys meet? Go ahead and type that in the chat and let us know how you met. That's always can be a really fun story. Jamie and we met. Actually, I saw him at church and I thought that he was really cute. We were 18.
it's much cuter. I was much cuter then.
Absolutely not. No, he's way more handsome now. And not planning at 18 to find somebody and fall in love. But I have to tell you, I think for me, it was love at first sight. And then we met through mutual friends. So how did you meet? I see someone saying, all right, they met online. We have quite a few people that we have worked with and work with that met online. It kind of seems to be the place to meet.
That's right. And I see one at work. Wow, yeah, at a friend's party. Okay, yeah, there's all kinds of places, right?
You know? At 18, at a friend, at a party.
Not embarrassing. It's not embarrassing to meet at a bar. It's okay. You can meet at a bar. That works.
Bars are good. Bars are
that
fun.
works. It's in person, I guess.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. A family gathering. That's an interesting place to meet.
Yeah,
we might want to hear more about that. Well, how fun, you guys. This is going to be very exciting and very fun. And so again, we are so happy that you are here today. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to turn the time over to Jamie, and he's going to be here on screen and offering you this incredible information. And I am going to pop over here and get on the chat. And so if you have anything, any questions or anything, comments or whatever throughout, I will be on chat and I would love to connect there. So have fun. Most importantly, have fun and remember that your relationship is worth everything.
Yes, it's so important. Thank you, Marla, for that great introduction. I'm gonna bring her back when we go and we teach you guys one of our tools today. So looking forward to that. But we know that there's a lot of demands on your time and energy. And so I just want to celebrate you investing your time into your relationship today to look for these tools and help to make that better. Life has three buckets. There's only three buckets in life. You have your time, your money, and your intention. And by being here today, you're setting an intention for helping your relationships to have a better, stronger relationship with whatever you're experiencing there. Your marriage is the number one factor for happiness in the rest of your life. 83% of business professionals have a decreased performance at work because of marriage stress, right? And that's it basically affects everything. Your marriage is the key for other relationships, your parenting, all those things. Um, and it's just so easy, and it seems like so often our relationships get put on the back burner, and then we feel unsupported and disconnected, and that's just not sustainable, right? So great job by choosing to improve your relationship. You are already setting an intention to make your life the best possible thing and your marriage the happiest part of that. And that's what we're all about here, building community through healed marriages. What will you be learning today? You'll be learning how to increase connection. Connection is all about feeling heard, understood, and valued, respected, right? We're going to have clarity here. We're going to, what you have that you don't want and what you want that you don't have. We're going to have, a little bit of clarity around that today. We're also going to get work on better communication, which is foundation of a successful relationship, right? You have to have better communication. Everybody says, oh, bad communication. Well, what does that really mean? It means that you're fighting. Fights might be dramatic or not dramatic, loud or quiet, but this bad communication ends up in conflict, right? And that can lead to resentment, the number one relationship killer. Tonight, we're going to demonstrate our number one relationship tool. Like I told you, when I have Marla come back, we're going to demonstrate that for you. It is our best tool, and we're going to give it to you tonight for free. So stick around. And we're going to learn why significant emotional events early in life can create blind spots that are romance blockers. That is a big part of what's going on, that we can't quite figure this out. So when we can have this, we have our blind spot tool that we use with our clients that always gets success. So that's worth sticking around for. And we have some other simple strategies to enhance your love, romance, and connection. So are you ready? Are you ready for this? Let's do it. All right. Learning this today will change your life. So thanks for putting your responses in the chat. We really appreciate the interaction. Marla's going to be talking to you there. I'll look at that, but I can get distracted easily. So, shiny things. Uh, keep me focused here on what we got to cover. So what to expect this experience to be like. It is interactive, so please continue to put things in the chat, questions that come up, whatever you feel like. But also, we're going to ask some specific questions. Please be involved. It makes all the difference if you're engaged. Remember that intention? Set your intention to be engaged. All right, you're going to be here spending your time anyway, your most valuable asset. Let's be engaged. All right, so interactive. This is a no judgment zone. Okay. Marla and I have worked with nearly 4,000 couples. We have heard it all. And believe me, it's many things you don't want to hear. But, we all human, right? It is one of those things that we all have stuff come up and it's complicated. And we don't judge. And it turns out if you take the shame and blame out of the relationship, everything gets better, right? We have a saying that we say, get curious instead of critical or angry, right? Get curious instead of being frustrated. Dig in, right? Conflicts. We all have conflict, right? In our relationships. But really, we often make too much conflict because most things in marriage are really tensions to be managed, not problems to be solved. And when we can get past that one psychological barrier, it changes so much. And so we can turn that tension into a good thing. Actually, tension is a good thing. It is what makes life excellent. You don't get into flow. You don't get to happiness without moving through tension successfully. So we need tension. We need it to be positive tension and not negative tension, right? So what effect will this have on your coupleship? We call it coupleship sometimes. It's, a marriage, it's a relationship, it's a coupleship, right? We're moving together in this boat and we like to go river rafting, right? So there's, you're paddling along together in this canoe. And, how are you going to handle the rapids ahead? This is what we're here for. We are the safety line. We are the instructions from the sidelines. Hey, paddle harder, or if you like the football illustration, to get your touchdown, you got to run the right play. And we're going to give you the place to run to get that touchdown in your relationship. Tonight, you will have a deeper awareness of why you choose the partner you chose. You will realize you have a key to each other's hearts. And on the other side, there's a little dagger. You will discover how your thinking style, are you linear versus infinity? We'll talk about that, how that affects both the good and the bad within your coupleship, and how to come from a place of empathy instead of distance, right? There's so much of this distance in our relationships. We're on our phones, we're distracted by the kids, by work, by friendships outside, right? This is where we learn how to deal with all of that. You will learn about the foundational heart language tool, our feeling wheel 5.0, and how to use it to transform your communication and connect with compassion and empathy like never before. You will leave here having the ability to hear and understand your partner as well as feel heard and understood yourself. Does that sound like something you would like? Does that sound good to you? Can you see the benefits of learning these things? I promise you will feel the difference starting tonight. Today, we set an intention to move forward in your relationship like never before, getting the satisfaction that you've always dreamed of. So, okay, so then what are the sorry, I lost my place there for a second. All of our clients get their relationship better than ever, which leads to a better job performance, and that leads to better finances, right? Like I said before, 83% of business professionals are suffering at work because of their relationship. And also the kids suffer, also other families suffer. Our communities are breaking down because the marriages aren't solid, right? We want to change that starting tonight. Um, how many of you would like to have these results, right? Okay, put your hand up, raise your hand, put a yes in the chat. Okay, good, good, good. All right, people want this, right? This is what we're all about. All right, so why us? Why us? Why are you in the right place? Well, who we are personally. Marla grew up in Arizona. I grew up in California. We met at 18 in 1987, you know, back when T-Rex was still around. We were dancing around with them. And you know, we fell in love. Like Marla said, we had this falling in love experience. That's really important, by the way. One question to ask yourself and your partner, you know, did you fall in love with me? And it doesn't have to be a falling in love. It just means that you got to love in your relationship. That turns out to be an important factor, having that love there, because love is the reason for life. From 18, we ended up, you know, dating for a couple of years, got married at 20. Marla helped me get through college. Then she went back to school later. Um, we have two daughters, 33 and 34, and two grandchildren, 4 and 5 years old, and a son-in-law. Um, Beautiful family. We just have so much fun here in Boise. We're just loving life here. We love to go paddleboarding and hiking on the green belt, and you know, down to tacos. We have a great life here, and best marriage satisfaction that I've ever had today, 36 years later, right? 36 years married, and we're happier than we've ever been, and we've been through it. I promise. We didn't start here. Our personal mission passion here today is the healthy and happy couples are the center of hope and community, right? When coupleships are working well, when marriages are healthy, communities grow healthfully. There's no problem. I don't believe I think we could solve all the problems, all the global warming, all the wars. I think we could solve them all if marriages were healthy and supportive, and we learn these communication skills there to take out into the world. So, who are we professionally? We've been helping individuals and couples for almost 30 years now, since 1995. We were trained for a domestic violence program back then. We worked with couples. Marla was the head of the women's, I was the head of the men's program. We were doing that, and people started asking us to help their marriage when they didn't have domestic violence. So, okay, we can do that. And we had some mentors along the way, and they told us, please don't do the traditional counseling model. They were clinical psychologists, and they said it's not working. More than half of relationships, half the marriages are getting divorced and counseling is not working. And actually, the failure rate for counseling is between 52 and 80%, depending on where you are and what kind of counseling you're getting. So please know that there's a better way, because we have a 97% success rate, keeping couples together happier and more connected than ever. And most of our clients have compared 3 sessions, less than 3 sessions with us, with better than 10 years of traditional counseling that they've been in. And that happens all the time. We've had couples come in married 50 years, and in the first session turn to each other and say, wow, I didn't know that about you. I had no idea that X was painful for you. And that's huge, because we have a blind spot tool I'll tell you about. We have found that coaching and mentoring is the way to go. It's why we have a 97% success rate, getting people to the happy, loving experience. We are able to share personally and demonstrate the skills that you need, customized for you. And that's the most effective way to learn. You don't learn by telling your story. You're not learning anything when you just talk about things. When you are demonstrated the tools, when you are having to participate in those tools, that is how we learn and make changes in our brain so that our hearts can follow along, right? 97% of our clients that use our specialized tools, we only need 15 minutes a day, right? And that's only for a period of time. You can go less eventually, but 15 minutes a day makes all the difference in the world. We have been recognized professionally by LA Weekly. We have also been, we are also in the Leap, the coaching movie, not the Disney Leap. We're not a cartoon. No, we were in the Leap, the coaching movie with the likes of John Gray, Jack Canfield, Mark and Benita Thompson. And during that time, we actually got coached by Mark and Benita Thompson, which is a real privilege. He's Richard Branson's coach. So that was really awesome to be connected there and to be included with that wonderful list of coaches in the coaching movie was wonderful. I think you can still see that on Amazon. If you have a membership there, I think it's just one of the included in the membership. So go check that out. You only have to watch the first 7 minutes to see us. So, after that it goes downhill, but otherwise it's good stuff. So at 27 years old, we had 2 kids under 6. We were active in our communities, leaders in our communities. I actually handed out the Family of the Year award in our community. We were pretty much in, but I was pretty much in way over my head. I know, at least I was. Marla can handle just about anything. She's tough as nails, but I was buckling. I was broken. I was hurting from a bunch of problems in my life that I had no idea were affecting me. And as we mentioned, we volunteered to be trained as coaches and facilitators to lead couples who were court mandated. And doing this work for those couple of first years, cycling through so many people with those huge challenges, it started to expose my deeper issues. I was like saying, oh no, I was doing this work with these guys, and I was like, wow, I got some problems, right? And so I was hurting and insecure. I was a mess. I looked great. I was like Mr. Success. I had surpassed everybody's expectations for me after spending some years in special education as in grade school. They were wondering if I was going to read, right? So the fact that I could graduate college and make good money and be, a leader in the community, people were blown away. So I was, had this great facade going on that I was all that in a bag of chips. And the truth was, we were in serious danger because I wasn't being vulnerable or honest with Marla. And I had to maintain that perfect image, right? So it came to a point where in 1998, I devastated Marla by sharing with her that I was having infidelity in our marriage. And I was confused about it. I wanted to get it better. So I knew I needed to tell her what was happening with me and get real honest. Our fairy tale was broken at that point, right? So we had to make a decision, and just like some of you are probably facing now. What intention did we want to set? And I have to hand it to Marla, man. She was tough as nails. Even though her family told her that if she stayed with me, she was out of the family, she decided to set the intention on healing our marriage. And we did the work that we needed to do to get that to happen. we had love in our relationship, and we knew that that love was strong enough to make it. And it was, everybody thought it was, over and done. And we were able to do everything we could. We had books we read and counseling we went to and seminars, and we did everything. We gobbled up every possible thing we could do over the next couple of years. Finally developing 26 years ago, developing the process that we use now to get that 97% success rate. It turns out that there are just a few critical things like setting your intention to get there, and using these tools that we have that are customized for your relationship to get that success in your relationship, to develop that intimacy emotionally. That's the emotional sexual loop that you can build on. And once you understand these kinds of things, it becomes very powerful. Um, it is, and for us, it is the most satisfying thing in the world to see people come in stressed out, hurting, or even just having distance in the relationship. No real fighting or whatever, but just not really connected. To turn that into a passionate love affair using the tools that we have, we just get thrilled and cheer people on to get their relationship to be the best that they've ever had. And we love that. And if we can do it, believe me, if I can do it, you guys, anybody can do it. Marla is particularly talented, but for me, if you, a pretty low bar, okay, a pretty low bar. If I can do it, anybody can do it. We promise. We have seen it over and over again. So when anyone uses these tools for the relationship building that we have to, it always works. It always works. Um, we all have blind spots, and when they're triggered, we tend to double down. You ever see your partner double down on this resistance? Yeah, those blind spot. That's a blind spot. They just totally, their vision turns off and they stop seeing, and you keep fighting, right? So the pain you have in your relationship is very real, and we want to recognize that the pain you have is very real. And we also want you to know that it is totally and completely fixable. Totally and completely fixable. Okay. So we are different because like I said, we saw that 50 to 80% failure rate in traditional therapies, and all these families are being destroyed. Turns out that almost 80% of people that get divorced regret it within 3 years. Not only that, but a divorce is expensive, by the way, right? It's $100,000 the first year on average. That doesn't even count the dividing the assets part. That's just the expenses that most couples spend after divorcing, extra beyond what they have. Who has that? Nobody has that much extra money now. It's worth saving your relationship. We want you to know that not only is it possible, but it is beneficial for everybody, including the kids and the community around you. Truly, we will get the relationship you desire. All you have to do is show up. One real quick rule: your feelings are real no matter what they are, just like I mentioned just now. But here's the caveat: only you are responsible for taking care of those feelings, not your partner, not your kids, not anybody at work, not your therapist. Only you can be responsible to those feelings. And when you make somebody else responsible for your feelings, that's a no-win situation. So if you can commit to this simple rule, that you can agree that your feelings are only your responsibility and it's your job to take care of those feelings. Put a Y in the chat. Just type in Y and send it. That's all you use, one letter. Boom. That's right. Keep going. All right. A couple more. Come on. Can you commit to this rule? Come on. Who else is going to be responsible for your feelings? If you're asking your partner to be responsible for your feelings, yeah, that's right. Keep putting there's only a couple, there's only 10 of you so far. Come on, a little more. All right, now we're getting there. Now we're getting there. Okay. So now, if you can commit to this one rule, anything is possible. All right. So I want to talk about this key dagger, what we call the key dagger. You might have heard of an anxious attachment or an avoidant attachment. Well, we call this control abandonment. And we've been doing this long before we understood that those anxious attachment and the anxious and avoidant attachment. We were talking about this control. It's kind of like third grade, right? So third grade, the boy tags the girl and the haha, and he runs away. And so then she comes over, right? So this is the anxious attacher, this is the avoided attacher, and then finally there might be a flip, and now you're both in the control zone. The worst is when it goes the other way. Boom. Now you're separated. Now you're not talking to each other. Now there's distance and resentment building, right? So how does this work? This key dagger. It turns out you have the key to each other's heart, and you have and it has a key on the other side, or a dagger on the other side. So they use the key, and sometimes we're clumsy with the key, and the key hurts. But then we take the dagger out, and we're dueling, right? Now we have a sword play. And let me show you our tool. This is the Feeling Wheel 5.0. Um, and it is just one of our many tools. We're giving to this a digital copy of this to you for free. You can grab it off the screen here. As soon as I can find the share button, here it is. This is our Feeling Wheel 5.0. This is, if you can see here, this is the middle of this is what we're talking about right now, this abandoned fear and control. By using this feeling wheel, it's kind of like a new language to use in your relationship. This is, these feeling words take the place of these long stories that we often get trapped in and frustrated by. But right here on top, you can notice this abandoned fear and controlled right there in the middle, around, the three in the middle, are the controversy of life. Are you going to be shame-based, or are you going to have love? Are you worthy of love, or do you have shame? And our process is all about draining that shame out of your relationship. And yes, we use forgiveness for that sometimes. And so then that abandoned fear, control, peace, power, and joy, those are feelings, but those are also modes. We use those to illustrate modes. Modes are like groups of feelings, right? But when we come back to this abandoned control abandonment cycle, it's really good to understand who's the avoidant attacher, who's the anxious attacher, and how is that dynamic working. Now, little caveat here, we all do both. And here's the kicker. You don't have to control or abandon me. I just have to be afraid that you will. And if I'm afraid that you will, I will already start acting in my either anxious or avoidant attachment, right? And that begins a conflict, a tension that we have to manage. So this feeling wheel is fantastic stuff. Of course, when you process controlled and you shift across to the other side, you feel at peace. When you have abandonment, you're going to feel, if you process it right with our tools, you're going to feel joy. And from fear, right, you get to power. Who doesn't want to have a little more personal power so they can do the things that they want to do? Most of us, right? I gotta find out how to stop the share here. Hang on here. You are sharing the screen. Where's the button to stop? Oh, here it is. It was in the red part of the wheel there. So, as you know, these tools are going to be so helpful for you. This key dagger, when you understand it, how the two of you are using this key dagger is going to change your relationship, because you're going to recognize it. You're going to recognize that you have feelings around this. And who's responsible for those feelings? Only you, right? And so when you make that little intentional step, everything changes. Everything becomes better. This key dagger will change your relationship. And it turns out that you choose someone within 5 points of your IQ. So you're equally as smart as your partner, no matter what you think about whether they're a doctor and you're a janitor, it doesn't matter. You're both equally intelligent. Some of those intelligences are different. There's more emotional intelligence, there's more, the IQ intelligence, right? But it balances out, and you choose someone equal to you that also has a matching emotional issue. And it's this matching emotional issue that is so difficult. As we come together, boom, we get triggered. It's too much. It's kind of like we have this dagger sticking out, and then I come up to Marla and I say, "Ow, why are you hurting me?" "Oh, you're poking my dagger." But we don't know that. We don't know. We think it's their fault. We blame, "Oh, you're hurting me." Blue, and we get in this argument, right? This dagger that we bring to the relationship often creates a lot of conflict. And we don't need that. Once we understand these concepts, we can change that dynamic into a much more peaceful, joyful process. So, another concept here, the linear versus infinity thinking style. There's always seems to be one of each in this, just like there's the anxious attacher and an avoidant attacher, and you all do both, but you have a primary, right? You all have a primary way of attaching that we do. Just like that, we have this linear and infinity thinking styles. The linear thinking style is, it happened last week. I put it in the box. We're here today. Why are we going back to that last week? We had that conversation already. That, and the linear thinker, they don't like to get into their boxes, their work box, their sex box, their video game box, whatever, we all have boxes that we put all of our life things in. And so the linear thinker, they have to get into that box carefully and say, okay, I'm going to unpack this much today. Well, you try to add the infinity thinker, then of course their life is what happened in my past, is happening in my present, is happening in my future. And it just goes around and around like that infinity symbol, right? And so they want to talk about what happened 3 years ago. Listen, it was 28 years ago. No, longer than that. Yeah, 28 years ago when we fell apart. And sometimes we still need to talk about it because Marla has that infinity thinking style. And so things that happen today are often triggering things that happened a long time ago. So there can be fears that come up. And that's okay. Understanding that, I don't have to get defensive. I don't have to be all butthurt about having to have a conversation about something that I did 30 years ago. And yet, when I do that, it changes the dynamic and she feels secure and at peace. Which are you? Let's put it in the box. Who relates to being an infinity thinker, where things kind of come up all the time about past, present, and future? Okay, yeah, all right, a couple of you there. And some of you that maybe are still figuring this out, but the truth is it's pretty easy to see, right? How about linear thinkers? Anybody like, got their boxes lined up and don't want to get in the box necessarily today? Yeah, okay. If a couple of you come, all right, yeah, that's more. More people are identifying with linear today. That's interesting. And usually it's the infinity that's a little more. So, knowing your thinking style and identifying that and recognizing your partner's thinking style is different can make a huge difference. Have a little conversation sometime soon about that and let us know how that goes, right? It enhances, understanding and connection, and it gets rid of some of those bad vibes, right? It's just gone. So our clients are able to use our tools and change their whole lives because we know the power of love. You have that power. If you're here, it's because you have love and you're trying to grow that love. And we know that that love can overcome any negatives, any obstacles. Blind spots kill romance. Like our clients from, man, it's been almost 20 years ago when we saw these guys, Mike and Stacia. The blind spots turned into triggers because of Mike's issues with his mom and the difficulty he had bonding with her. And that would create all, and he would get to, she was an infinity thinker, and she would bring something up and he would get all triggered and defensive and angry, and they'd be yelling at each other. Um, and then her dad abandoning her when she was 8 years old, that kind of, she always felt abandoned when he would storm out of the house, slam the door, that made her feel just terrible and right back to that 8-year-old place. And now, after using our tools and doing the process with us, people go to them for help. They stand out in their community as a couple that is got it together and is, able to and approachable and obviously somebody that you would want to ask, hey, what are you doing? How do you do this? And they share that with so many people now. Heart language, this feeling wheel 5.0 that I just showed you here, that is begins to open up your heart language. When you start using those feeling words, it's kind of like, this is not a complete list of feelings, by the way. There's so almost any verb can be a feeling, right? And so this list is incomplete, but it's a nice core list, right? And if you look, there's two feelings that are on there twice, and that's on purpose. And we'll let somebody, if somebody can figure that out later, let me put it in the chat. But anyway, this emotion that we're feeling, this emotion is the chemical in our body. producing, and it goes through our body. And the feeling words are the names that we put on those emotions. And it turns out our emotions are extremely complex. The list of hormones is long. You got serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline, and there's more, right? Lots more. But those are the main ones. And when those combine in different ways, we get much different responses, right? The right response is, ecstatic. The wrong response is bone crushing, right? So how we interact. Remember, you're responsible for your feelings. How you interact with those emotions and feelings determines how we're connecting, how you're showing up in your relationship. And learning this is kind of like driving your car, right? And we have blind spots. There's a blind spot in your car. So right now this might sound like a lot of information for you, but think about how you drive today. How many things you can do. You can be on your, well, hopefully not on your phone, but you can be on your phone. Oh, maybe the map. We'll put the map on there. You have your phone map there. You got your Coke. You got your sandwich. You got your coffee. Whatever you got going on. You got your makeup going on. I mean, think about all the things we can do while we're driving. And now we have auto cars, right? They drive themselves. So I guess then you can do your makeup. But anyway, think about how when you first started, how confusing that all was, even if you didn't have to do a clutch like some of us back in the 80s, But it could be kind of confusing. How much gas? Too much. Okay. How do you turn? Oh, how do you parallel park? Now that stuff comes easy because you've practiced. A little bit of practice with our tools makes all the difference in the world. You'll become so comfortable with this. It'll be second nature. Second nature. So your heart language is far more important to the conversation than the story is. The story is great. We want to hear your stories, but you know what? Keep it short because, today with our social media and all the things that we have entertaining us, we don't have a lot of an attention span. So your partner needs it short and sweet, and then with the key feelings attached to it. And that's what we're going to show you here and check in just a minute. And so, if you want more emotional and physical intimacy, this feeling wheel will help you connect emotionally, which has to always come first for that sexual intimacy. We need the emotional connection before we get to the sexual intimacy. Everybody's more willing, more connected, wanting that more if that happens in that order. So these tips and tools are not complicated. We don't ask it rocket science. It's not like you have to figure things out. It's so very simple. And they are the answer to everyone's needs. These skills will elevate your personal communication and awareness, cut the confusion and missteps, and allow you to learn and grow together as a couple forever. Who wants that? Who wants to learn and grow together for the rest of your lives? And maybe even beyond that, right? Okay. All right. Okay. Good. Good. I see people putting it in there. Excellent. All right. Here's the little thing I want you to do. If you're with your partner right now, stand up wherever you are, turn and face each other, and I want you to have a 20-second hug. I'm going to start a timer here. Well, no, maybe not. Oh yeah, I do. I have it right here. So I'll start my timer. Get up, get close, start hugging. All right, get that going. And I'm going to give you 20 seconds, and um, I want you to hug and hold your hug there. This is going to produce oxytocin. Now, if you don't have your partner with you, do it later. This is going to produce oxytocin. We're going to show you how to do this. Marla's right here for me. It's nice to have a hug. And so we're going to hug, and we're just going to relax into it. We're just going to let this happen. And if you started when I said, it's already been 20 seconds. And what we're doing there is we just produce oxytocin. The rule about this is no sexual.
So good.
It feels so good. The rule about this is you can't have any sexual expectations. You got to start here with the emotional, right? So no partner, just lean into your own self hug. 20 seconds of that. Just relax, give yourself a hug. It's crazy. I know it sounds bizarre, but it works. Are there any questions so far? Just type them into the chat here. I saw a question. Let me find that. Okay, yeah. Okay, how do I talk to my partner who is an infinity thinker when I'm a linear thinker? Great question. That is a great question. If you're a linear thinker, you probably get frustrated by where the infinity thinker brings up these other things and grabs other options. Oh, what about this? And what about that? And why didn't you do this when you were 10 years old? I don't know, right? But okay, if you're the linear thinker and you're approaching that, get connected with them, right? Ask them a question. How do you prefer? No, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself here. Just understanding that they're going all over the place, that you might need to be more flexible in your linear thinking. Be prepared to open your boxes up when they are, but only, when you're ready. Don't be jumping ahead and jumping down the rabbit hole. Listen to them, allow them to have it. Even forgive the fact that they might be upset about something that you thought was resolved. That's how you talk to the infinity thinker. And in reverse on this is that there, if you're an infinity thinker, remember that your linear thinker is going to resist going backwards or even too far in the future, because they're kind of like right here, right now. Because the infinity thinker is kind of like in the past and the present and the future all at the same time. So giving them a little bit of time and maybe some warning, like, hey, I would like to talk about X tonight. That allows them time to go get their box, open it up, think about it, bring it back and say, okay, we can talk about this. Knowing that that's going to take them longer to go back into those boxes is going to be your key to success in that conversation. And there's more about that, but we don't have time tonight to go all the way there. So there's another question here. How can you talk to your partner if they are resistant to come with you to something like this? Okay, yeah. All right. So I'm going to give you a list of, like, I think I have 3 questions here that you can ask them. Number 1, gently, in a good time, ask them this question. How do you prefer to give and receive love? Right? Ask that question. How do you prefer to give and receive love? And then wait a minute and then ask this one to follow up. And are there ways I can better fulfill your needs? You want somebody to come to a process like this and they're not really willing to come see Jamie and Marla at Bring Back Intimacy. Start there. Another question. What does a perfect day look like to you, and how can we create more days like that together? When you start there, you can build that conversation into, hey, I wonder if we had better tools, if we wouldn't get along better and wouldn't have some of these fights that we're having. Yeah, that makes sense. Better tools. I happen to know where we can get them. That's how you get them to us. The third question here is, are there past hurts or disappointments that we haven't fully addressed that maybe I'm poking a little bit when we're having conversations? How can we heal them? And let that conversation unfold. Give it time. Hey, and then after that's perked and been through it, then you can say, I wonder if we could look together at this process. There's a free appointment that we can go to. I'll tell you about that in a minute. That might help us learn some of these things, right? What's important here is that you learn how to get honest with your partner. Remember, that was the thing I did. It was the hardest thing I ever did. Well, hopefully you don't have anything that heavy to share, but if you do, let us know and we'll help you learn how to share that. And when you learn how to ask them for what you want in a way that they can hear and believe you and want to give you what you're asking for, that's when you've learned success. So often, especially for women, they're so frustrated and so tired of asking for help around the house, asking for the things that they need to be sharing these domestic things or even work, life stress, right? It seems like sometimes it's uneven and they get done because they've asked for it 1,000 times for many years, and now they're just tired of asking. Well, the problem is, of course, that routine of asking and not getting an answer becomes a bad habit in your relationship. And when you can learn how to ask it so they actually hear you and see what you mean and feel how important it is to you, now things are moving so much better, right? That's one real quick key, how to get somebody there, right? But we get the results no matter what. Even if you are feeling hopeless and find yourself fighting off the despair that has taken hold of your heart, that your relationship will never be happy again, we were there. We were totally there. We thought we were done. But it's fixable. It's truly fixable. Even if things are so disconnected in your coupleship that the first thing you reach for in the morning is your phone to get in there and get your dopamine instead of your partner. Even if you feel like, or if they're doing that to you, even if you feel like you're just roommates today. Listen, we were unhappy, confused, lost, and didn't know how to ask for help. We had no clue. We had a choice, stay together or eventually divorce, right? Are we going to resolve these things and figure out how to get past them? Or are we just going to walk away from each other and see the kids on weekends or whatever that looks like, right? We were in confusion. I was in massive confusion. I had no idea why I was doing what I was doing, or I hated it. I hated what was going on with me. I was so messed up, right? I had no clue. I was totally confused. I felt unworthy, just completely worthless, right? Depressed, overwhelmed. Stress and pain and desperation. It becomes the pattern of life, right? Not feeling heard and understood. Frustrated, inadequate, lonely, complete. If you're lonely in your relationship, it's the most dangerous feeling on the wheel. The feeling wheel 5.0, loneliness. That's where things happen that ought not to happen. And it's fixable. It's totally and completely fixable. So as we said, we know for a fact that 52% of marriages fail. That number hasn't increased like they thought it was because guess what? The millennials stopped getting married. So there's actually closer to 82% failure rate of relationships that are committed, have children. Those are failing at 82%. And that's sad because it's unnecessary. The states that have a fault divorce have 78% of divorces are connected to social media. So, this little toy that we carry around with us and we have our faces in all the time, it's a problem. And I'll tell you what, it's magical when you do our work, suddenly your phone loses all its luster. You use it for what it's used for, but you on and off, and you don't have to sit there and doom scroll for days because that doom scrolling means that something is missing big in your life. Counseling has a 55 to 75% failure rate, sometimes up to 82% for relationships. Many couples have been in counseling between 3 and 10 years, and they're still struggling with not being happy and not being able to get along. What our culture is doing is not sustainable. Carrying resentment will not be sustainable for you. If this problem doesn't change, what will happen next? Communication, connection, and intimacy within your marriage will just continue to erode, and eventually community will break down. The marriage will break down. The community, you have the friends all have to choose who they're going to be friends with. It's it's an ugly mess, right? Um, and these legacies of loss will keep being passed down from generation to generation. They can track trauma in the DNA for 4 generations in humans. Fascinating information, right? Do you want to give that pain to your kids? It's better if you resolve it today. Healing flows downhill. You can't heal for your parents. That doesn't ever work. Believe me, we tried. But you can heal down the generations. Your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren do not have to experience the pain and trauma that you're experiencing because you're giving it to them in your DNA. Blind spots that are brought into the relationships from childhood will create more and more tension and inevitably resentment in that relationship and will become more and more frequent. If you notice that the fights happen more and more often, that's a really good observation and an important one because things are getting worse. They're either getting worse or better. There is no staying the same, right? Unhealthy, and then I talked about those unhealthy patterns get passed down. They create more blind spots for our kids when they get in relationships. Couples will continue to have years of dissatisfaction, loneliness, and unhappiness that is 100% avoidable. That's what happens if you don't fix these things. So how many of you are committed to joining the relationship revolution and creating happy, healthy, sustaining relationships? Just put a yes in the or a Y in the chart in the chat. Just put it in there. Okay, good. Yeah, let's commit to doing this. I love that. I love that you guys are able to say that. That's wonderful. So what needs to be done about the problem? Number one, Build better communication skills so that feelings are heard, safe to express, and never weaponized. That's number one. We start there. Number two, we eradicate blind spots that exacerbate shame. We all have shame. Brene Brown has done a great job of educating us about shame. She's validated every one of our tools, by the way. She didn't come out until 2010, as far as we could find her. And we had 10 years, we had 15 years of experience helping couples, and she's all the tools that we were using. She said, you need this, you need this. Matter of fact, this feeling wheel, her new book, Atlas of the Heart, first chapter, first page, we need more granularity, is her word, for feelings in order to be more successful in life. First thing she says, granularity. This feeling wheel gives you that granularity, right? That's the example of what her research is showing us and how valid our tools are for this. So we want to eradicate that shame. Everyone has it. No one wants to admit it. We all have it. And it's a constant job to keep it out of our lives. Um, Emotional and sexual intimacy are symbiotic. Remember that sexual emotional loop? It builds on itself. And they create a growing, sustainable, lifelong love. We can show you how to get there. We have the tools for this. So, do I have permission to show you how you can work with us on reigniting your love? Are you up for the hearing about this? Okay, that's what we came here for. Exactly. All right. Good point. Good point. All right. Yes. All right. Here we are. Okay. I have permission. Thank you. Um, we're going to put the link for the free discovery session that we're doing. This is a $500 session. We decided to do it for free. You guys are here. We're opening up our schedule. You get 7 days right now to get that in for free for you. So just hit that link and schedule that appointment. Bring your partner. If you can't get your partner there, we understand that. We work with a lot of people that are in a relationship that, sometimes they just go through the process by themselves. Most of the time, their partner finally says, after about 3 weeks or 4 weeks, they're like, "What are you doing different? We're getting along. You're really great all of a sudden. How are you so happy?" Then you get to bring them, right? Hey, come with me. We'll figure this out together. It's powerful stuff. It's obviously better if you both come. Our success rate drops a little. It gets down to 85%. Still better than the 20% success rate that most counselors have with marriage. That's a 60% improvement right there. We have a 150% better chance of saving a relationship than just about anybody else. So get that. We have a 96, get that appointment scheduled to get your 97% success rate. Couples who have been to therapy for years tell us they learn more in just 1 or 2 sessions than they did for years of counseling. This is like a year's worth of counseling, right? Just coming to this one session, this free session, is like a year's worth of counseling. So who's it for? Couples who are currently in struggle and wondering if they are going to make it. Couples who feel like things are okay but stagnant and they are craving a deeper connection. Couples who understand that their marriage relationship is the most important thing in their lives and deserves the highest level of effort, attention, and care. What you'll learn a deeper understanding of you and your partner's personality, sensory preference, introversion, extroversion differences, and how that affects you and how it affects your coupleship. What you learn here is a new and unique way of communicating that will surprise you with its simplicity and how much time it saves you and how powerful it is for your heart to have that confidence and strength to move forward. You'll have an increased connection and trust in yourself and your partner. You'll have a super effective ways to manage your tension and make repairs. You'll get tools to eliminate the triggers of your coupleship and replace them with peace and happiness. Where can you get the solution? Right there at that free session. That's where you start. When can you get it? Get it in the next week. Get it as soon as you can. Take advantage of this. We're giving it to you for free. You've got nothing to lose. The national average, like I talked about, we talked about the averages already. It's bleak out there, guys. It's bleak. You know what? there's a high percentage of people that pay in a lifetime $32,000 and years and years and years of appointments. Sometimes we've had clients come in 20 years of counseling with not very good results, but they kept going, kept trying. In less than 6 months, complete satisfaction, you're done with us, right? So take a minute, just take a minute and close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just imagine having a partner who truly sees you, understands your needs, and supports you when you're at your weakest. They're there, standing by your side, offering you unwavering love and support in the exact way you've always yearned to be loved. Can you feel the warmth and happiness that washes over you just thinking about this picture? Picture your partner attentive as well as deeply empathetic. They have an intuitive sense of what you require, even when you struggle to articulate it yourself. Their love is a balm that soothes your wounds, a safe haven where vulnerability is embraced rather than feared. Imagine the joy of being in a relationship where your partner's love flows effortlessly and authentically. They celebrate your strength, encourage your dreams, and offer a steady hand during the storms of life. With them, you feel seen, valued, and cherished for exactly who you are. In this relationship, there's a profound connection that goes beyond mere words. It's a soul to soul intimacy, an understanding that transcends the superficial and jumps right into your heart. Your partner's love fills the gaps, heals the past wounds, and supports your growth in ways you never thought possible. Oh, wow. How beautiful is this daydream? We want you to know that such a relationship is not just a figment of your imagination, it's within your reach right now. You deserve to be loved in this extraordinary way, and we are more than capable of providing it. We're here for you. And it's exactly what so many of our clients have gotten. I have so many stories. I don't have time to share with you right now, but right now we're going to do check-in. I'm going to give you a couple of rules here as Marla comes out of the chat and comes over here. Um, the rules in check-in are real simple. You put your palms up towards your partner on your sides or in your lap. You face your partner, soft eye contact, and you get 3 items with 3 feelings from the feeling wheel each. We're going to demonstrate this. Today is the 17th. Guys go first. So I'm going to go first. When I go, Marla does not speak until I say I pass. And then she gets to have hers. So 1 sentence or 2 sentences max for your story, 3 feelings to go with it, and then you pass. That's all it is. This is the best tool we have, by the way. All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Wow, it's been a really rough couple of weeks. I'm so proud of how we've come through this pain and difficulty. When we had that bad news the other day, um, I felt discouraged and sad and overwhelmed. When you were able to be so consistent and connected through that as we processed, I felt loved, connected, um, and confident. I love you, and I pass.
Yeah, yesterday when you were so frustrated, I felt and overwhelmed. I felt confused and sure. And I felt I felt disappointed for you and with you. And when we uh, put all of our plants together and flowers together on the porch and made it beautiful, and I look out at it, I feel joyful and connected
Mhm.
and excited and super energetic. And I love you and I pass.
The kiss is optional, but I always take the kiss.
Hashtag
Oh,
take the kiss.
take the kiss. Hashtag take the kiss. So that's check-in. Thank you, Marla. You know, that one tool is worth the price of admission here today. Try it out. Let us know how it goes for you. The old coupleship being disconnected, discouraged, and unheard and angry. The new relationship is up to you. What is your intention? The solution is here. We have the tools for you. You're going to spend your time and your money. What is your intention to do it with? What do you want it to be like? You want the best possible outcome? We're here to talk to you about it. We get the results. So this session, this free session that we do has been valued by our clients. It's worth $500. If you were going to get something like this anywhere else, they'd be charging $1,000, $1,500 for this kind of thing. So remember to get in as soon as you can because the space is limited and we don't know how long we're going to do this for. Did I mention, by the way, our money back guarantee? When you work with us, we get results. You do the work, you show your work. If you don't get the results that you want for your relationship, what we call the best possible outcome given your circumstances, money back guarantee. We'll give your money back. You complete it, finish it. If it doesn't work for you, we understand. We've never had to give it, by the way. Nobody that's ever done the work has ever asked for a refund. It's not hard. It's not complicated. We don't ask any more than about 15 minutes a day, and that's really less than that. 10 minutes is enough if you do it every day. But if you use the tools, you get the results, or we give you your money back, guaranteed. So we want you to get on that session so you can learn more about how that works, and we can give you a little more value for your particular coupleship, what's going on with you. We are so excited that you are here and learning about this because this is an intention to grow and make your relationship the best possible thing. Complete that registration form, get on the calendar. We are so excited to see you there. We will love knowing you will love knowing how to communicate with ease. You'll love it when your results are beyond your wildest dreams. Go for what you believe in, follow your heart, and invest in your coupleship. Transform your legacy into one that your grandchildren will say, our Gigi and Gramps loved each other so much and so deeply. And with that example, I get to have that in my life as well. Thank you guys for coming today. Give yourselves a hug. Nope, it's a huge round of applause, not a hug. A huge round of applause and give your partner another 20-second hug. It's been our pleasure to be here today. Get on that calendar.